got a slip in your palm and a hole in your chest. Black coffee on the felt, man, you look like a mess. 3-team parlay turned to dust in your hand. Now you stare at the chips like they made you this man. But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now. Hold on, hold on. Not tonight, not now. Hold on. Let me pull you out. That fella bites hard, but it don't get the crown.
What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you with Toadstool Sports. It is Friday, May 8th. 1-0 on the show yesterday. The only play was early, so hopefully people got that. The over in Rangers-Yankees, that hit. It was not looking that good early on, and then it was the Yankees offense that exploded later in the game. They had one big inning later in the game, and that's what put the game over. Which, you know, they have done that quite a bit. You don't really expect that against the Rangers bullpen, but however we can get it, I'll take it, man. The Yankees pitching was better than I thought it would be in that game. The Rangers pitching was worse, but I wasn't trying to pick a side there. I was just trying to get the over. That's what we did. Yankees, by the way, are the highest scoring home team this year, so that lent itself to an over there as well, even though I played the under the day before that. Move on to today. We're going to have a pretty big card today. I got 3 baseball plays. Yes, correct. 1 hockey play and 1 NBA play. I'm going to talk about WNBA, but I'm not going to jump into the WNBA as far as actually playing a game yet. It's going to be a wait-and-see approach with the WNBA. I was pretty selective with it last year, but they wound up winning, so Dirty Sock, what's up? Garrett, what's up? Tyson, what's up? Yeah, I mean, the Hurricanes have been completely untested, and that's going to remain the case. Like, if they don't win the conference, there's something completely wrong because they're facing zero competition in this conference here. Their only possible competition was Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay couldn't even get through the first round. So the Eastern Conference is unbelievably weak. Whoever they're going to face coming out of the other matchup here has no experience, and they're not a good team. I mean, Carolina's probably the best team in the East. That's what I'll tell you. They need Colorado. They could win the Cup. They need Colorado to get knocked out. Colorado's the best team in the NHL. There's an argument to be made that maybe Carolina's the second best. Yeah, I don't know. But I don't know. Beating Ottawa and Philadelphia doesn't exactly impress me. Okay, let's move on to these games here. Baseball, everything is in the evening today, I'm pretty sure, so whatever. Houston at Cincinnati is the first game up. Cincinnati played yesterday. They finished a 4-game series with the Cubs, got swept. It was the only game where Cincinnati lost by more than 1, although they had a big pitching disadvantage in that game, like I said. But Cincinnati is now at a rest disadvantage, and they're returning home from a road trip. So, you know, I talk about that's a bad spot. When you're returning home from a road trip, I know it wasn't geographically that bad. They only went to Pittsburgh and the Cubs, staying in the division here. That's not horrible, but still they've been away for more than a week, so sometimes you can get distracted. Coming back home, Cincinnati, by the way, is hilariously in last place in the NL Central now, despite still being above 500, even though I don't think they're very good. By the way, Terry Francona should come back to the Red Sox. Let's make a change here, man. Houston was off yesterday, so Houston is rested here, although Houston has not been playing well, but they're starting a road trip, which is a focus spot plus rest, so the spot is better for Houston here. By the way, the StreamYard, there's something very weird going on here where they're almost like graying out all the comments now. I don't know what's going on with StreamYard here. Very, very odd. Anyway, Houston has a situational advantage here. Cincinnati did also use 3 relief pitchers yesterday. And, if there's any bullpen that maybe Houston could have an advantage over, maybe Cincinnati is one of them. Cincinnati is ranked second worst in Major League Baseball. I would kind of say third worst because their ERA is way worse than Minnesota's, and they're tied in WHIP. Houston is dead last, though, of course. We're looking at 2 bad bullpens here, but maybe Houston with the rest, maybe you could say that maybe they're not worse in this game. Houston does have the better offense. They're 5th. Cincinnati's been pretty bad, 23rd. Is that enough to get Houston over the hump here? I don't know. I don't want to play this game because I don't like the starting pitching matchup. Like, the situation looks good for Houston here, but I don't think we could back Mike Burrows here. 5.97 ERA, 1.65 WHIP, playing for Houston. A little bit worse on the road, 6.23 road ERA. I mean, he's only given up more than 4 earned runs twice, so I guess that's something. Houston's lost all of his games except one of them, which was against the Red Sox. Of course it was. Last time out, he actually pitched okay against the Red Sox, but lost because Houston actually somehow didn't even hit in that game. Overall, Burrows, 36 strikeouts, 37 2/3 innings. That's not that bad. 13 walks. Not horrible, but he's been very hittable. 49 hits allowed, 8 home runs allowed. That's pretty bad. He needs to not put his pitches over the plate, it looks like. But the other issue I have with Burrows here, not just that he's been pitching bad, it's that he used to be in this division because he was on Pittsburgh. So Cincinnati is familiar with him. But he did pitch well against them in a limited sample. 13 at-bats. They only have 1 extra base hit against them, a double from Hayes. 5 strikeouts, no walks. That is good for Burrows. 154 average allowed, 385 OPS. Yeah, it's possible Burrows does actually pitch well here, but I don't love that he's familiar with the opponent here. That they might be able to hit him here. He hasn't been pitching well at all this year, so I don't know. This is a hitter-friendly ballpark, by the way. Total is high for a reason. Nick Lodolo is pitching for Cincinnati here. He is making his debut for the season. He was good last year for Cincinnati. He put up a 3.33 ERA, 1.08 WHIP, and had a 5 strikeout walk ratio. He was surprisingly good last year in the longest season that he's had in the majors so far. That's a good sign. I don't know how he's going to do coming back from injury, but he is a veteran at this point, so a lot of times veterans come back from injury better than younger guys that haven't dealt with that situation before. He's dealt with it before, so he might actually pitch okay in this game here. And I think Houston is very unfamiliar with him as well. Yeah, Houston only has 3 hitters who have ever seen him before. They have 1 hit off him, a single from Paredes. They're 1 for 13 off him lifetime with 2 strikeouts and no walks. So Lodolo could certainly pitch well here. Sometimes, this guy coming back from injury, I didn't look at what he did in his minor league rehab or whatever, but sometimes a guy coming back from injury will be ready to go. Like if he's a veteran, he'll pitch well sometimes. I know a lot of professionals kind of think the other way, and they'll stay away from the game or even fade that guy, but I'm more of the camp that I think this guy's undervalued because he's been injured, and I think he's going to do well, and he's ready to go if he's a veteran. But too many conflicting factors in this game. I'm not doing anything with it. The money is indicating on Houston. 57% of the cash on Houston, 55% of the tickets on Cincinnati. You can kind of see why, that because Cincinnati has the better record. The public is not going to want to be on an Astros team, even though they can score. Their record is just awful. So Houston's not going to attract public money here. Cincinnati is favored at about minus 140. So Lodolo is getting the respect in the market. Houston getting a lot of disrespect here. I could see the sentiment that, maybe Cincinnati, because they're not even very good, they shouldn't be favored by this much. I could see that argument. And I told you the situational spot is also bad for Cincinnati. I don't know, man, because I think Lodolo generally is better than Burrows. That would be my opinion there. So I have a real hard time with this game. Money is also hitting the under, although the total's at 9. It opened 9.5. I don't know. I mean, if you're going to play an under, you do not want to deal with the bullpens here, though. That's for sure. So you'd have to go first 5 if you go under here. But the money is hitting the over. Like I said, if you go over a full game, makes sense because both bullpens are trash. So, yeah, I don't want to do anything with the game at all, though. Colorado at Philadelphia. Philadelphia is staying at home. They did just lose a 4-game win streak, but they got absolutely destroyed yesterday by the A's. So maybe it's a bounce back spot for Philly here. Maybe they just overlooked the A's because they'd already won the series. Colorado, not a very good team, but they are starting a road trip. Or no, they're in the middle of a road trip, right? Yeah, they're starting a road trip. My mistake. Yeah, they just played the Mets at home. So Colorado is starting a road trip. Now, a lot of times I will want to be on a team starting a road trip because it is a focus spot. Colorado probably gets up for a Philly team that has been playing better recently. Colorado not playing as well. They did beat the Mets yesterday to end a losing streak, though. They were on a 6-game losing streak, and I talk about when a team ends a losing streak, that will give them new momentum as well, positive momentum. So the situational spot for Colorado is not that bad here. Bullpen usage. Colorado used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Neither of these bullpens have been very good this year, though. Philadelphia also used 3. Philadelphia is 21st in bullpen right now, and Colorado is 18th. I don't particularly like either bullpen, so I might be not wanting to do anything with the bullpens here as far as wanting them to have to do anything good for me. Chase Dollander looks like he's going to get the start for Colorado, but I think what you can do here, this game, if you're going to play this game, I think you're probably going to play it action because Colorado's put an opener in front of Dollander for most of his outings. So it looks like Dollander is going to get a starter's workload here, but they might put an opener in front of him. So if you're going to handicap it like Dollander is going to make a start, he's going to be the starter here as far as the amount of work he's going to get, but you don't know if he's actually going to be the starter. It kind of makes sense to go action here. But I don't really have a good feel for this game at all, though. I do have a slight opinion. Dollander has actually pitched pretty well for the Rockies this year. 3.38 ERA, 1.15 whip. He's been better on the road, which makes sense. I mean, it's difficult to pitch in Coors Field. So Colorado, their pitching, some of it is better on the road, but they also don't hit as well on the road. Dollander has a 2.49 road ERA here. He's actually pitched really well this year. He was not good in his last start against Atlanta, but Atlanta has been one of the best offenses. That was in Coors Field. Maybe you give him a pass for that. If you take that start out and his opening start out, he hasn't allowed a home run in any of his other starts, or any of his other appearances, I should say. It looks like they are ramping up his pitching here. They're letting him pitch more. He's allowed 1 or fewer earned run in every outing except that last one and the first one. So generally, he is actually pitching well here. He might actually be able to pitch well, not having to pitch at Coors Field here. Has decent numbers in his history against Philadelphia and 20 at-bats. It's not a large sample, but Trey Turner with a double is the only extra base hit they have against him. 8 strikeouts, 1 walk, 200 batting average allowed, 488 OPS. Dollander has done well against Philadelphia in a small sample. Jesus Luzardo is pitching for the Phillies. His numbers don't look good. 5.09 ERA, 1.28 whip is still pretty, that's too high as well. He's been bad at home. That is one concern with him here. 7.43 home ERA. That's pretty bad. He had he had 2 actually. Actually, you know what? I take all that back. 3 out of his 4 home starts have been awful. His 3 worst starts of the season all came at home, and then he had 1 really good home start against a very bad San Francisco offense. So I don't know, man. I mean, that's not a good sign that he's been really bad at home. So I don't know, man. I don't really want Luzardo here, but he is in good form right now. After that San Francisco start, he followed that up with a win for us on the show. We took Philly in the next game, and they beat Miami, and he pitched well in that start, had 10 strikeouts. And he hasn't walked anybody over his last 2 outings, but I worry about how bad he's been at home. But if you look at his overall numbers, they are pretty good. 51 strikeouts in 40 2/3 innings with only 9 walks. That's a really, really good ratio, really high strikeout rate. He's allowed a few too many hits, 43. But generally, his numbers suggest that his ERA shouldn't be this bad. But I don't know if we could trust him here, but he is facing a Rocky lineup that isn't really that good. They're not really that good on the road. He's done well against them in the past. Like, basically, he's dominated them. 47 at-bats, 21 strikeouts, 3 walks, 191 average, 517 OPS allowed. By the way, I forgot to talk about where these teams rank offensively. Colorado is actually 7th right now, but they're playing on the road where they're not as good at hitting. Philadelphia's been bad. They're 27th offensively. I think they turn it around a little bit at some point, though. But I think what I would do in this game, I think, is actually go first 5 under in this game. I don't want to deal with the bullpens. I mean, the bullpens are not particularly good at all. But, yeah, both starting pitchers might actually match up okay here. Although we see 90% of tickets, 89% of the cash on the under here. The full game total is 7.5. Juice to the under. So the odds makers are really telling you they think this is going to be a pitching duel here. I tend to agree. I don't want to deal with the bullpens. This one is not on my card, but I actually considered it. I really do worry about Luzardo with those home numbers, though. But I think under first 5 innings makes sense in this game. That would probably be the way I would look to play it. You're going to have to probably go under 3.5, though. You know, I wouldn't really disagree with looking at the Colorado side here, though. 77% of tickets, 63% of the cash on Philly. Philly's been playing better. They're getting the public action now, it looks like. Less of the actual money on them, and they're laying minus 210 or somewhere in that range. You could take Colorado on the run line and just need them to come within 1 run. You know what I mean? That doesn't seem like a horrible idea to me either. Dollander, he's under the radar, dude. He is one of their talented young pitchers, and he looks like he is starting to pitch the way they kind of expected, where Colorado usually ruins young pitchers like this. Pitching in Coors Field is not easy to do, but he's been pretty good, and he doesn't have to pitch there in this game. So, and Luzardo has been really a bigger question mark this year. So that's how I look at that game. Sparrow, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. I'm doing all right, man. We're on a 5-0 run over the last 2 days on the show here. A's at Baltimore. Baltimore is returning home from a road trip. I believe they were off yesterday, or no, they played. They lost to Miami yesterday. Yeah, so I got that one right. It was close. Miami won late in the game yesterday. Baltimore is returning home from a road trip, and, you know, I don't love it. Again, when teams return home from road trips, it could be a bad spot. They have to get back to home life. It could be a distraction. They're not playing a team that they're particularly going to, I think, mentally focus for. The A's are in the middle of a road trip. They're coming in from Philadelphia, although they did wreck Philadelphia yesterday. But the A's, I mean, even though they're atop their division right now, I don't know that they're necessarily going to overlook any opponent right now. So I think the situational spot is worse for Baltimore. Baltimore, not a great bullpen. They used a bunch of guys out of it yesterday, too. They used 4 bullpen arms. Miami also used 4, though, and they had to use some of their better bullpen arms to finish the game off yesterday. It was not an extra inning game or anything, but generally Miami does have the better bullpen, and I'll still give them the edge here, even though they use some of their better bullpen arms there. Miami is ranked 5th in bullpen based on whip here. Baltimore, not nearly as good, 17th. Hitting-wise, Miami actually hasn't been that bad either. They're at 18th right now. Baltimore 16th. So Baltimore, yeah, I think Baltimore does have the better offense, though. Jacob Lopez is going to be pitching for the A's. He has not been good this year. 6.6 ERA, 1.9 whip. He's been actually only a little bit better on the road. A lot of times these A's pitchers, they do a lot better on the road because their home stadium is a AAA stadium where pitchers just get jacked up. But he hasn't been that much better on the road, only slightly better, 6.46 road ERA. He got beat up in his last start at home against Cleveland. His numbers are not good, just generally. 30 innings pitched, 23 strikeouts. He doesn't strike a lot of guys out, but he's walked 22, which is a huge problem. The walks have been a major issue for him, and he's allowed 35 hits on top of that and 6 home runs. It's not that bad considering the stadium that he has to pitch in, but he has not been good this year. The walks have been a huge, huge issue. Going up against Baltimore, Lopez has not been good against them historically either. Only 16 at-bats against them, though. He hasn't allowed an extra base hit to them. 5 strikeouts, 1 walk, but they have a .375 batting average against him, .787 OPS. I don't trust Lopez in this matchup. I would not want to have to back him here. Kyle Bradish is pitching for Baltimore, and I think he probably is the better pitcher, but he's been bad this year too. 5.03 ERA, 1.82 whip is real bad. He's been a little bit better at home, though, so at least there's that. 4.02 home ERA. He got lit up in Yankee Stadium last time out. But, you know, if you look at his numbers this season, that was the first time he allowed more than 4 earned runs. Both of those starts where he allowed 4 or more were on the road. Hasn't really gone too deep into most of his outings, though. But, you know, he's been better than Lopez, at least. He's got 35 strikeouts in 34 innings. Still a ton of walks from him, too. 21. That is still way too many walks. And 41 hits allowed, also not very good. 5 home runs allowed is kind of whatever. I don't really trust Bradish here either. Against the A's, he does have pretty good numbers, though. 19 at-bats. It is a small sample. No extra base hits. In fact, they only have 2 hits off him. 8 strikeouts, 1 walk, 105 average, 255 OPS. The spot is not good for Baltimore. I don't like the spot in the return home spot, but I do think they have a pitching edge here with Bradish. And both bullpens are bad. You know, I forgot to go into the bullpens here, right? Wait, what did I do? I think I handicapped the wrong bullpen, didn't I? Yeah, I talked about Miami, my mistake. Yeah, obviously, the A's bullpen is worse than Miami's, my mistake. Yeah, the A's are 26th in bullpen. Baltimore is 17th. So, yeah, I apologize. Baltimore is the better bullpen here, but not by a whole lot. I don't like either bullpen. You know, both starting pitchers look kind of untrustworthy. I think possibly the better approach here is to go over in this game, although I lean slightly towards Baltimore, even though they're in a bad spot. 50% of the tickets and 67% of the cash are on the A's, so the money is hitting the A's here. Baltimore's about minus 130 something here on the price. Yeah, I think Bradish has the upper hand over Lopez, though, and the Baltimore bullpen is actually a little bit better as well. I slightly lean that way, but I think my preferred approach in this game is to just go over the total, not trust either starter, not trust either bullpen. 55% of tickets, 72% of the cash on the over. I do worry, though, that Bradish does have pretty good numbers against the A's, though, so that could come into play there. But the total's pretty high. It is probably high for a reason at 9.5. Over makes sense to me in that game. Next game up will be one of my plays, Anaheim at Toronto. We're going to be very total heavy again here, but my totals have been pretty good, so I know you might think it's boring, but shout out to Boring Bets, who sometimes shows up in the chat here. This is going to be a first 5 under in Anaheim, Toronto. Under 4, I saw it minus 125 out there. You could do an under 3.5 as well, though I kind of like to try to get that 4. Just, you know, you get the extra half run. Every half run matters a bit. There's no real key number in the first 5 because the score could be anything after the end of the first 5. It could be tied, obviously. Now, Toronto is returning home from a road trip. They were just in Minnesota and then Tampa Bay, so it's not the greatest spot, the return home spot, and I think that does affect the hitting sometimes. Hitting can be falling into that distracted spot, you know what I mean? Just generally when a team returns home from a road trip, I don't really want to be on them because of that distraction. They got to get back to home life, whatever. They might not pay attention to an Anaheim team that's been struggling, although Toronto's lost 4 in a row. But generally, returning home from a road trip doesn't fix that in that first game. You get distracted by having to get back to home. So that might affect Toronto's hitting here. Anaheim is coming in from playing at home, so they are having to travel cross-country. That might affect the hitting as well, so I do worry about that for Anaheim as well. Anaheim, did they not play yesterday? Let me see. I believe both teams were off yesterday. Yeah, so both teams were off, so that actually might help cool down the bats as well, so I like that as well. Anaheim traveling cross-country might also, you know, mess with the bats as well because they're going to have to adjust to the new time zone, whatever. So I think that's all going to maybe help us with this under because it might mean the teams are going to get off to a slow start here. Both bullpens are rested, but I'm not going to go with the full game here because I can't deal with it. Even though they're rested, Anaheim's bullpen is awful. They're ranked 27th. We can't deal with that. Toronto's is a bit better at 16th and still not great. So I don't know. I want to exclude the bullpens here. They're just combined. The two bullpens are bad enough that I don't want to have to go full game with this. The offenses here are not terrific. Anaheim hits a lot of home runs, so hopefully that doesn't do us in here, but they're ranked 12th offensively. Toronto's really struggled at 24th offensively. So I think we could get this done with the under here, looking at what these offenses are. I'll go unders even with some of the better offenses too, depending on what the pitching is. I think the pitching here could get us this under as well. Reed Detmers is pitching for the Angels. He's actually been good. You might see he's got a 4.28 ERA, which doesn't really look that good, but his 1.15 whip is pretty good. He's been better on the road, 3.78 road ERA, so that's a good sign as well. He's pitched pretty decent in his last couple outings. I know it was against Kansas City and the Mets. It's not like those teams are shredding offensively. Neither is Toronto, and yes, he did face Toronto back on the 20th, so April 20th. So, yeah, that worries me a little bit that Toronto did just see him. He did fine in that outing. It was at home. He went 6 innings, gave up 4 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks, only 5 hits. He honestly got a little bit unlucky there. He gave up a home run. He didn't put that many guys on base. And generally, if you look at his numbers, they're pretty good here. 44-9 strikeout walk ratio. Only 3 home runs allowed, 37 hits allowed in 40 innings. Those are all really good numbers, dude. It's just that Anaheim, their bullpen has blown some of the games he's pitched. He's been not great. One start of his was bad at home against Atlanta, but other than that, he's been pretty good, and most of it's been bad bullpen behind him, bad run support behind him. I actually like how Detmers looks here. Homo, yes, full homo. Detmers has 69 at-bats against Toronto, 15 strikeouts, 5 walks, 217 average allowed, 604 OPS. He has pitched well against Toronto, other than the fact that Vlad Guerrero does hit him pretty well, but what else do what do you expect? I think Detmers could pitch well here. Dylan Cease is pitching for Toronto, and while, I know I'm on record not really being a huge Cease fan because he does not cease to walk too many people. He throws too many pitches usually. But, he's a guy that is a flamethrower. He does strike out a lot of guys. He's got a 3.05 ERA, so his ERA, you can't complain about that. I know his whip is bad, 1.33. And, it's not horrible, but it's too high. It indicates that his ERA should be higher than it is. Home road splits are not too significant for him, although he is a little bit worse at home, 3.38 ERA. That's still not bad at all, though. He was really good last time out on the road against Minnesota. He's thrown over 100 pitches in 4 straight outings, but I don't think that really is going to affect him. He's a veteran. He's used to it. I don't think it really matters. He's got a really high strikeout rate. Like I said, 56 strikeouts in 38 and a third innings. Tons and tons of strikeouts, but 18 walks is the problem. But he's only allowed 33 hits. He's been pretty difficult to hit, and with Anaheim's offense, what you really want is a guy that's not going to allow home runs. Well, Cease has only allowed 1 home run this season. So Cease definitely has the ability to not allow home runs here. And he's actually allowed more ground ball outs than fly ball outs this year. Which usually with a guy with his profile, you don't usually see that being the case because a lot of times guys will just connect with that fastball. When they're actually able to connect with it, they'll hit it very hard. But, not really the case with him. He did play against Anaheim on that same day, April 20th. So this is a repeat of that matchup, which, by the way, that game landed on 7 for the full game. Cease allowed 2 earned runs in that game, had 12 strikeouts in 5 innings, only put 7 earned base runners on. That game, by the way, it did go under in the first 5, by the way. It was a 2-1 game. Or no, sorry, it was 2-2, my mistake. So it landed right on the 4. But Anaheim is a more hitter-friendly park, I believe, than Toronto is. So let's go with it. First 5 under in this one will be the play. Little bit juicy, but, this is baseball, so it's kind of the way that it is sometimes. You could go under 3.5 if you want to pay less for it and take a little bit more risk there. well, you're taking more risk with, you're risking that you're not getting a better number, let's say. Mr. Pinsey, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Oh, I see what, dude, StreamYard, I see what they're doing. They're graying out all the comments that I actually showed already. Ah, okay. I don't know if I could change that setting or not. That's weird. All right. Yeah, StreamYard keeps changing stuff, man. All right. Tampa Bay at my Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox bullpen failed last night. I mean, Jake Bennett, I don't think he was that bad. I was at Shane Gillis last night. I ran into a bunch of Red Sox fans on the trains and whatever after I got out there. A lot of people at the Red Sox game yesterday getting on the trains. And by the way, a lot of them were wearing the Red Sox Green Monster alt merchandise, the hats, the jerseys, everything. Really, really crazy. But they were a very disappointed bunch. I could tell right away the Red Sox had lost the game, even though I didn't know what the score was yet. Red Sox bullpen was bad yesterday. Generally, they're not bad, though. And the Red Sox, they were returning home from a road trip. They swept Detroit. I talked about it yesterday. I liked the Red Sox pitching matchup in the game, but they also were in a bad situation. So, unfortunately, they kind of wasted a better pitching matchup yesterday. But still, they had a young pitcher on the mound. Red Sox used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Tampa Bay used 4. Tampa Bay has been the better bullpen recently, but they were bad to start the season. They're still ranked 11th in bullpen. The Red Sox are ranked 8th. I think I'm still going to give the Red Sox a slight bullpen edge, but Tampa Bay's bullpen is definitely doing a lot better recently, so there's not much of an edge there. Hitting-wise, the Red Sox have been bad. They're 28th. They just can't figure it out. Not good. Tampa Bay better offensively at 15th, so that sucks. Jesse Schultens is going to be pitching for Tampa Bay, though. I don't know how long he's going to go. His numbers are pretty decent this season, 3.18 ERA, 1.15 whip. He has a 0 road ERA, but he's only pitched 5 innings on the road. He's mostly been working out of the bullpen, man, and making like small-ish appearances. So I think he's going to be more of an, not really an opener, but I think he's going to go like 3-4 innings here, depending on how well he's pitching and what the matchups are and whatever. So I don't think he's going to give you a full starter's workload here. So Tampa is probably going to have to go to the bullpen somewhat early in this game. It's more of a bullpen-ish game setting up for Tampa here, but they did the same thing yesterday, too, with Jax as their starters, so maybe that's not even going to hurt them that much. They're used to doing it. At least Tampa Bay and Detroit are the 2 teams that do that the most, so, maybe it's not that bad of a thing for Tampa Bay here. Schultens, he's got 17 strikeouts, 6 walks, 20 hits allowed in 22 2/3 innings. Not really a whole lot to read into there. Doesn't strike out a lot of guys. Doesn't put a ton of guys on base either. Numbers against the Red Sox, small sample, 13 at-bats, 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, 385 average allowed, 813 OPS allowed. So, yeah, the Red Sox, when they've seen him, they've been able to do okay against him. It's hard to read, man. It's hard to figure out what you're going to get from Tampa's pitching here. Connolly Early is pitching for the Red Sox. He's been decent. He's still young, man, and figuring stuff out, and his issue has definitely been the walks. He's got to get the walks under control. 3.79 ERA, still not bad. 1.32 whip, though. That whip is too high. Again, the walks are a problem. He's been pretty bad at home. 6.75 home ERA. I don't know if he's that trustworthy, although really it was... you look at the teams that he had to face at home, though. The Yankees and Houston are the teams that both did that damage, and he wasn't even that bad against the Yankees. He got very little run support in both those outings as well. But those teams are both good offenses, So maybe you give him a little bit of a pass for that. He's faced some decent offenses in there, mostly those 2. Tampa Bay has seen a little bit of him. They only have 4 hitters who have faced him. They have 6 at-bats against him. No extra base hits, no strikeouts, 2 walks. They're 2 for 6 off him with 2 singles. So I don't know what you can really take away from that. Not much. Tough game to figure out, man, it is. Early, by the way, as I was alluding to, his walk number is a problem. He's got 31 strikeouts, 17 walks, only 30 hits allowed in 35 2/3 innings, though, so he's not that hittable. He's got talent, man. He's not really a hard thrower. He's more about like locating his pitches, and he's got off-speed pitches, the fool hitters. So that's more of his thing. Still, I think his fastball is probably like a mid-90s fastball, but yeah, whatever. I think Early definitely has a higher ceiling here than Schulten's does. Maybe it's a bounce back for the Red Sox. You know, sometimes when those teams return home and they have a bad game, they will bounce back in the next game. There is a reason why the Red Sox are favored at minus 130, whatever here. And you're going to look at the team's records and think, what the fuck is that? Because the Red Sox are well below 500 and the Rays are way above 500. And in fact, I believe there are only 2 teams in the American League above 500 at all now, and it's Tampa Bay and the Yankees. The American League is just a sad, sad league, man. It is so bad. But, you know, there's a reason, again, why the Red Sox are favored despite the record disparity here. Tampa Bay, I mean, they're not a bad team, but I think they're overrated. Like, their record makes them look better than they actually are now, even though I don't think they're that bad of a team. But their run differential is like plus 20 or so, and like the Yankees are like plus 80. You know what I mean? That means they've scored that many more runs than they've allowed. So a positive run differential is good, but Tampa's isn't that positive, and they're like the Reds in that they've won a lot of close games. Tampa, I think, has won the most one-run games in the American League, so that's something to consider in this one. Alien Disclosure Day, that's a distraction, dude. Basically, that makes me wonder, like, what else is going on? Like, you know, I think aliens do exist, but I think that the narrative surrounding it, there's a lot of fake information out there. There's a reason why all those scientists have been disappearing that are in that type of field, in, you know, aeronautics and space and whatever, and even, you know, in the UFO field and whatever. There's something going on there, but I think what they're going to disclose is going to be a distraction from what's really going on. Anyway, you know, I guess I'll slightly lean to the Red Sox there. I just hope they win. I don't love it, but they do have more of the money. 61% of tickets, 83% of the cash on them. I don't have a good feel for the game. The total's 8.5. I mean, do what you want with that game. By the way, the full game total on the game I just gave out as a play, Anaheim and Toronto, full game, 7.5 there. So the odds makers are definitely telling you they think it's going to be a low-scoring game. And that one has 80% of the tickets and 91% of the cash on the under. So that's Anaheim-Toronto, I mean. So we are agreeing with the money in that one. Washington at Miami, I have at least an opinion on this game. That's one of the better opinions in my opinion. Miami just ended a 4-game losing streak by beating Baltimore yesterday, and they're staying at home. So that's at least good for Miami. Again, when you end a losing streak, sometimes that gives you new positive momentum, so that's good. Washington did just win 2 games against Minnesota, though, and now they might carry that momentum on the road with them. A lot of times, starting a road trip, you will be focused. This is a divisional series, so Washington may show up as well. So I think the spot is kind of positive for both teams. Washington does not have a good bullpen. They used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. Miami has the better bullpen. They also used 4 and used some of their better relievers, as I already talked about, because I had the wrong team there in that Baltimore matchup. Miami, like I already said, is 5th in bullpen, so they're good. Washington is 22nd, so Miami definitely has a bullpen edge here. Miami offensively, 18th here. And by the way, I totally fucked that up, dude. Baltimore, because Baltimore is facing the A's here. I apologize, dude. The A's have the better offense over Baltimore. The A's are ranked, where are they at? The A's are 6th right now, just to get that out there, because I forgot to mention that. Baltimore 16th. I'm sorry, I'm schizo today. I'm all over the place. Miami is 18th in offense. Washington is back up to 9th. But remember, Washington just padded their offense against a very bad Minnesota pitching staff that also lost their ace. So Washington did not have to face Joe Ryan in that series there, and Minnesota's bullpen is also bad. But, yeah, Washington, their pitching is bad. Their bullpen is bad. Offensively, they've been decent. Miami's pitching has been better. Foster Griffin is pitching for Washington. He's been one of the biggest surprises, although nobody's going to be talking about him because who the fuck is this guy? He's 30 years old. He has not had much major league experience, Like usually this again, it's like a movie storyline. Like, he's like what was it, Randy Quaid in The Rookie. Randy Quaid, he starts pitching for the Rays when he's like almost 40 years old. He makes his major league debut. You know what I'm talking about, that movie? You guys seen that movie? I don't know, but this reminds me of that, where it's like this guy hadn't really pitched in the majors, although he had pitched a little bit. He's 30 years old. You're like, what the hell are you really going to get out of this guy? Well, he's having a good season, 2.27 ERA, 1.08 whip. He's been pretty good both home and away. It doesn't really matter. 33 strikeouts, 14 walks. I mean, it's not the greatest ratio, but it's not terrible. 29 hits allowed in 39 and 2/3 innings. That's pretty good. He hasn't allowed a lot of hits. He's been solid, dude. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all but 1 outing, and he's allowed fewer than 3 in all but 2 outings. Anaheim's won all but 2 of his starts, and he pitched pretty well against some better offenses. He had to face the Dodgers, Atlanta. Pittsburgh was one of his worst starts, and he didn't even do bad in that outing. Milwaukee, he was able to shut down twice, didn't allow any runs. Did walk too many guys last time out, 4. So, yeah, the walks may be a little bit of an issue, but Griffin definitely is capable of doing well here. This is a pitcher-friendly ballpark in Miami as well, and Griffin has never been seen before by Miami. So, Miami might actually Griffin might actually pitch well here against Miami. He's got the unfamiliarity edge against them as well. Yeah, I think he might pitch okay here. He is going to be opposed by a guy making his major league debut, which is Robbie Snelling. So we have a lot of mystery here. These guys don't have a lot of major league experience. Snelling is going to make his major league debut for the Marlins. He is a left-hander. His numbers have been really good in AAA. I looked him up. He's got like a 1 ERA over 5 starts in AAA this year, a whip below 1, high strikeout rate from what I saw in AAA. The walk number a little bit high. For him, my concern would be that his arsenal isn't that deep. So he throws like a mid-90s fastball, which doesn't seem great, but he fools hitters by mixing in his off-speed stuff. I guess he has a really, really disgusting curveball that really throws people off. He's got a changeup as well, and that's primarily what he does, that 3-pitch mix. I guess he has like a slider that he's mixing in as well that's similar but different to the curveball. I don't know. But I like what this guy's been doing in AAA at the very least. And, of course, he hasn't been seen before by any major league hitters unless they saw him in the minors or whatever, So he has the unfamiliarity edge here as well. I'm going to lean under first 5 in this game, man. Even though I like Miami's bullpen, they're a little bit unrested. They use some of their high leverage arms. So I just don't want to deal with the bullpens. And I don't want to deal with Washington's bullpen. I considered adding this to my card. Like this is the closest play to being on my card that doesn't make my card. So I'll tell you that. First 5 under would be my recommendation here. I don't see any percentages on this yet. 2 lefties that are very unfamiliar going at it here, man. There is a bit of an unknown, though. Sometimes with a guy making his major league debut like Snelling, sometimes they will be a little bit nervous, and that leads to walks. You know what I mean? So that's the one issue. Griffin, I'm not too worried about. Like, he has so many starts under his belt now this season that he's not going to be intimidated by this. He's faced some of the top lineups in baseball and wasn't really intimidated. So, total for the full game here is 8. But yeah, I like first 5 under in that game. Josh, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Yes, I agree with that sentiment. Yes, the government telling you all this stuff about aliens. There's something different going on than what they're telling you. Hindian, thank you. What's up? Easy Jeff. I don't know what that is. You're not a baseball fan. What about the taxes? That's right. Yeah, because the market will tax you. I mean, the bettors will call it a tax, but it's like, whatever you want to call it. Like the price is higher on those games. You know what I mean? When you're paying a premium. Let's call it paying a premium. A lot of guys use that terminology as well. You're paying a premium when you're betting the best teams and the best pitchers. Who's from Reno? Snelling? He might be. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, Reno's got a lot of gambling going on. They're also, they're in Nevada, so they're in the Area 51 area. The Area 51, I'm pretty sure, is closer to Vegas than Reno. All right. What else we got here? Yeah, because I think the people that work at Area 51 fly out from somewhere near Las Vegas. They fly from there into Area 51. Oh, I get what you mean. Yeah, Jeffrey E. Yeah. That's right. Am I not allowed to say his name? I don't know. Minnesota at Cleveland. This is going to be another play from me. This is an Apple TV game. Cleveland is returning home from a road trip. And I talk about that. I don't like teams returning home from road trips. They went to the A's. Then they were closer to their area, though. They were in Kansas City. And they won that series. Or no, they split the series. They won the last 2 games of it. But Cleveland is still returning home from a road trip. They've been away for a while. They did have to go to the Pacific Coast during it. So I talk about how that adds to distractions. But I also think the distractions hit the offense more than it might hit a single starting pitcher. Because, it's easier for one single guy to overcome those distractions, especially if he is single, than it is for like an entire offense of a team to do it. You know what I mean? Because you're going to have guys in the mix that are dealing with the distractions or whatever. So you kind of know where I'm going with this. I think Cleveland might be a little bit distracted here on the return home spot. Minnesota, they just lost a couple games to Washington, which, yes, that might mean they're going to be focused. Now, they're in the middle of a road trip. So, yes, I would agree Minnesota is in the better situational spot, but that is not where I'm going with this game. I'm not going to give out a play on the side in this one. Cleveland, by the way, their bullpen has been okay, but they used a lot of guys out of it the last couple of days. They used 5 relief pitchers yesterday. And you know what I already said about Minnesota. Their bullpen, not a fan of it at all. They used 2 guys out of the bullpen yesterday, but I still don't want to deal with Minnesota's bullpen. You probably know what this is going to be. First 5 under is where we're going on this one, too. I found an under 4 at a little bit of a better price than the other one at minus 118. Minnesota, I mean, they've been playing a lot of high-scoring games, dude. But, I mean, think about it. They're playing in Washington. Washington has allowed more runs than any other team at home this year, and Washington has a terrible pitching staff. You know what I mean? So that, obviously, that padded Minnesota's numbers. Although I know Washington was lighting up Minnesota's pitching in the last couple games. I get it. But seeing a team coming off a bunch of high-scoring games like that, I don't think that's going to be the case coming into this one. Cleveland plays a lot of lower-scoring games. But Cleveland did just have a high-scoring game yesterday against Kansas City as well. But we're now in Cleveland. Cleveland is not a particularly hitter-friendly ballpark, I don't believe. I never really talk about the hitter or pitcher-friendly nature of their ballpark because I don't really think it's necessarily either. I already looked at the bullpens. Bullpen-wise, Cleveland, they are ranked 10th right now in whip, but they used a lot of guys out of the bullpen yesterday. Their ERA is a little bit high, above 4. I don't fully trust that bullpen. Minnesota's bullpen is awful, though. 28th, and they're 29th in ERA, so they are really bad. So we're going to take the bullpens out of the equation here. I don't want to deal with either one here, especially not Minnesota's. Hitting-wise, Cleveland has not been good. They're 20th in hitting. Minnesota has been mediocre at 14th. I do think these are a couple of offenses that could be stifled by the right pitching matchup, and that is what we're going to go with here. We're going to back Connor Prelip as one part of this, who is pitching for Minnesota. He's still really young. He's only made like 3 starts, I think, in his career so far. Yeah, but he's been decent. 3.86 ERA, 0.93 whip. He's not going up against the most intimidating offense here. He's been not as good on the road, 4.5 road ERA, but it's such a small sample. It's like, I don't know. What do you even do with that information? That was his first start of the season, by the way. It was against the Mets. I know the Mets stink offensively, but they only let him go 4 innings in that one, and he didn't walk anybody. He had 6 strikeouts and gave up 2 earned runs on 4 hits. That was not a bad outing whatsoever. And then he allowed 2 earned runs in his other 2 starts as well. They might be limiting his pitch count a little bit, so that means it also makes sense to go first 5 here because he's been very consistent so far in that while he's been out there, his last 2 starts, he's gone 5 innings in each of them, and he allowed 2 earned runs in each of them. So that's fine as well. He did have multiple walks, so, the walks, I guess, are a bit concerning. He's got 15 strikeouts, 5 walks. That's still not a terrible ratio, and he's only allowed 8 hits in 14 innings. So he hasn't been very easy to hit. He's got a decent strikeout rate, so I like all that. He looks like he might be decent, dude. And you'll see that his last 2 starts went way over the total, but obviously that wasn't his fault. One of them, he just got a ton of run support behind him, and in the other one, the bullpen totally imploded behind him. So none of that was his doing. So I think that might give us a little bit of value. I think we get some value in this under for a bunch of reasons. Like, nobody knows who Prelip is, so I think that gives us some value there. And looking at, the high-scoring nature of Minnesota's recent games and the Prelip games, you know what I mean? Like, that's going to skew this number. But, again, you look at what he actually is, he's not bad. And Cleveland has never faced him before, so we have the extra advantage of unfamiliarity here. And Prelip is not making his first start, you know what I mean? So the nerves are not going to be there anymore. I think he's going to be ready to go. He's faced some not the greatest offenses, but neither is Cleveland, right? So he's faced Seattle, Toronto. I mean, those are probably better offenses than Cleveland's. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to be intimidated. And he's going up against a very talented young pitcher that Cleveland has, Parker Messick, having a really good season, 2.4 ERA, 0.92 whip. Messick has been pretty good both home and away, slightly worse at home, but not really a big deal. Now, he had a bad start in his last outing, but if you look at what that was, I think that was a total outlier because he was pitching in the A's stadium. So, what do you want to do? You know what I mean? He gave up 3 home runs in that game, and it's a very home run conducive ballpark. I think we give him a pass for that. He still managed to only allow 4 runs in that one. Had 6 strikeouts, no walks, 6 hits allowed in 5 innings. I'm going to give him a pass for that. He's been really good otherwise. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every other start, 2 or fewer in all but one of those outings against Houston. Up until his last 2 outings, Cleveland won all of his starts prior to that. And then, it was that bad one against the A's, and the other one he got no run support against Tampa Bay. He's got 44 strikeouts and 10 walks. That's a good ratio. 28 hits allowed in 41 in the 3rd innings. Prior to that game where he allowed 3 home runs in the A's stadium, he only allowed 1 home run otherwise. It was at home against the Cubs, but the Cubs are a very powerful offense as well. He's done well against some good offenses, man. He shut out the Braves earlier this year on the road, shut out the Dodgers on the road in his first start of the season. So he's not going to be intimidated by any offense, certainly not the Minnesota offense. And Minnesota, they have seen him a little bit. 17 at-bats, but they haven't been successful against him, really. They have 1 extra base hit, which is a double from Keshal, I don't know how you pronounce his name. 6-1 strikeout walk ratio against him, 235 batting average allowed, 572 OPS. So the call in this game, the play is first 5 innings under, excluding the bullpens, and the money seems like it agrees on this one as well. 80% of the tickets, I know I don't like to see those public ticket percentages, and we're still using Wager Talk because pregame, even though they're aware, still has not fixed their shit, and it's been 2 weeks. Unbelievable. But anyway, 94% of the cash on the under. Really, what this read tells me is the real money is on the under, and the full game total is low at 7.5. So the odds makers are signaling to you they think this is going to be a pitching matchup here. But I don't want the bullpens, so we have 2 first 5 inning under plays here. So that's play number 2 from me. Janet Reno, I don't know what we're talking about here. You're going to bet the UFC. There's a huge UFC card tomorrow. I saw Dana White on some, I don't even know what, I had some channel, I don't even think it was one of the sports channels. I had some channel on when I was flipping through TV earlier yesterday. I think Dana White was on some, I was like, oh, Dana White's on, it was like The View or something. No, I don't think it was The View. Whatever it was, though, I was like, oh, Dana White is on, talking about the UFC card for Saturday. I don't know. All right. We're in almost an hour, man, and we're not on schedule here. We have 7 more games here, I think it looks like. So let's keep going. Detroit at Kansas City. I don't know where Zach is, but shout out to him. Zach, wherever you are. Kansas City just lost the last 2 games in that split series against Cleveland. They're staying at home, but they did play yesterday. So Kansas City played yesterday. Detroit, I believe, did not. Detroit's coming off getting swept by Boston, and they're starting a road trip, and they have rest. So Detroit has a better situation here, man. After getting swept at home, you got to think they're in a bounce-back spot here. Detroit did not play yesterday. Kansas City did. So Detroit has a little bit of an edge here. Kansas City's bullpen has not pitched well, and they got pretty used up over the last 2 days. They used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. So I don't trust Kansas City's bullpen here. They're also ranked 23rd, which is not good. And Detroit's bullpen's had struggles, but they're 20th, so they are better than Kansas City's right now. Hitting-wise, Detroit's been decent. They're 10th right now. The Royals are 13th, though, so the Royals have started hitting a little bit better as well. Their stadium is a little bit more hitter-friendly now that they've moved the walls in. Zach, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. I forget, what's the White House fight? There's a fight at the White House, the Fight House. Hey, dude, they should pay me. I came up with that name. There you go, Fight House. And it's gonna, the logo for it's gonna be Trump's fight thing. All right, Keter Montero is gonna be pitching for Detroit here. I feel like he's pretty under the radar, man. Like, he was the guy that was making a lot of bullpen appearances for them in his first couple of seasons and whatever. He looks pretty decent right now. 3.48 ERA, 1.01 whip. I mean, that's better than decent. Not good on the road, though. 5.4 road ERA, so that's a little bit of a concern. He did face Kansas City earlier at home on April 16th, and he gave up 4 runs in the game, but he wasn't bad in that start. He had 5 strikeouts, no walks, and gave up 7 hits in 6 innings, so he got kind of unlucky in that outing. He's not a huge strikeout guy, 25 strikeouts in 33 2/3 innings, but 7 walks, 27 hits allowed. None of those numbers are bad. That Kansas City start was the only one where he allowed more than 3 earned runs. He's pitching pretty well, dude, although he's faced some somewhat weaker offenses here, though. He hasn't faced a gauntlet yet. But, it's not like Kansas City is that powerful of an offense either. So that's who he's going up against here. Doesn't have good numbers against them historically, though. In 51 at-bats, 7-2 strikeout walk ratio. That's fine, but 294 batting average allowed, 752 OPS. It's a little bit iffy. But Montero is pitching better this season than he has before, and his last outing, like I showed you, against Kansas City wasn't bad. So I don't know how much weight we should put into these numbers. And then, but Kansas City's definitely familiar with him. Chris Bubich is pitching for Kansas City. He's been good this year, 3.32 ERA, 1.13 whip. He's been a little bit better at home, 3 ERA at home. Coming off a really good start at Seattle. 2 pretty good starts in a row. He pitched decently in the A's stadium as well, but did walk 4 guys in that one. And the walks have really been the concern. He held them to 1 earned run in that one, but the walks are an issue, man. He's got 42 strikeouts, 19 walks in 40 2/3 innings, and only 27 hits allowed. So he's very difficult to hit. But the walks, the wildness is a bit of an issue for him. So somehow he's got to get that under control a bit. Numbers against Detroit, 45 career at-bats. He hasn't been that good against them. 10 strikeouts, 4 walks, 267 average allowed, 749 OPS. Riley Green is 5 for 10 off him. So if you want, player prop, whatever, I usually recommend hits plus runs plus RBIs on a guy that has a good matchup against a particular pitcher. And it's probably better if they're facing a bad bullpen, which actually is the case here. Kansas City's bullpen, not good. Bubich, I think he is probably still the more trustworthy pitcher here, but Kansas City is not in the better situation. Bubich does have walk issues, so I like Montero's overall numbers a little bit better right now. Bubich has the slightly better matchup numbers. Obviously, this is not a game I'm going to give out a play on. Kansas City's minus 140 or so here, 78% of tickets, 90% of the cash on Kansas City. I slightly lean Detroit here, man. I think with the rest edge, the bullpen edge that they have here, the pitching might be a little bit of a duel here potentially, and Detroit can keep themselves in the game probably. So, I would lean to Detroit getting the underdog price there. That would be my opinion there. Sorry, Zach. Yankees at Milwaukee. I believe Milwaukee did not play yesterday, but they're returning home from a road trip, so that's a problem. They went to Washington and St. Louis, had a pretty successful road trip. They won more games than they lost on the road trip. But they're returning home, but they are returning home from playing in their division from St. Louis. So that's not a bad travel leg, and they have a day off, but still return home spot. I mention it every time just because it is part of the handicap. It's a negative. Like, I will not play on a team returning home from a road trip unless there's such a good circumstance to do it. Like, I'm rarely going to do it. I'm either going to play against that team or leave the game alone. And in baseball, the matchup, has to line up for me, so I tend to leave these games alone. But, yeah, Milwaukee could be a little bit distracted. But then again, they're probably going to try to get up for a game against the Yankees, though, man. It is a big series, a weekend series against the Yankees. Yeah. The Yankees did play yesterday, though. They beat Texas in the early afternoon game. We got the win on the over in that game. Now the Yankees are starting a road trip, so it is a focus spot for the Yankees. But they played yesterday, so they don't have the rest advantage here. But they should be focused to get the road trip off on the right foot. So the Yankees, the situation, there are some negatives for both teams here, so that kind of negates itself. The Yankees used 5 relief pitchers yesterday, by the way, so that's not great for the Yankees. Their bullpen has actually been decent, though. They're at 9th right now in bullpen. Not bad bullpen numbers from them. The Brewers have been not as good at 19th, but their ERA is not that bad. And the Brewers have the way more rested bullpen, so I think the bullpen matchup is pretty close in this game. Yankees are number 2 offensively right now, and the Brewers have really struggled. Again, they've had a lot of injuries. They did get Chourio back within the last few days. That should help them, but they're 20th offensively right now. But the Brewers, I still think they are better than that offensively. This game, though, this does look like a pitching matchup here, at least on the surface. Max Fried is pitching for the Yankees. He's been really good, 2.39 ERA, 0.89 whip. He's been ridiculous on the road. He has a .76 road ERA. He's been way worse at home so far. He has a much bigger road sample so far this year. Overall numbers are good, 43 strikeouts, 15 walks. I mean, that ratio is not that good, though, to be honest, but he just doesn't strike that many guys out. 52 and 2/3 innings pitching. He's only allowed 32 hits, so he's very unhittable, and that's really his best stat there. And he's only allowed more than 3 earned runs once, although he's struggled a little bit more, really since the start of April. His numbers haven't been quite as good, but still obviously not bad at all. Against Milwaukee, his numbers, are not the best against Milwaukee in 23 at-bats. He's only allowed 1 extra base hit, though, which is a double from Chourio, who is now back. They have 2 strikeouts, 1 walk against him, 304 batting average, 681 OPS. So the OPS is low. He hasn't allowed a lot of extra base hits at all, like I said, but the batting average that Milwaukee has against him is high, so they are capable of getting to Max Fried. But Fried has been good generally and good on the road, but he's going to have to duel Jacob Misiorowski here, who is the younger pitcher and throws way harder than Max Fried. Miz has good numbers, 2.84 ERA, 1 whip. He's been a little bit worse at home, though, 3.22 ERA, but that's still not bad, obviously. Misiorowski, really high strikeout rate, 59 strikeouts in 38 innings, and also very difficult to hit, 23 hits allowed. Walks are kind of high for him, 15 walks, but his strikeout rate is so enormous that it makes the strikeout-walk ratio still look really good. He's kind of like Dylan Cease, but throws even harder. He tends to be a bit inefficient with his pitches, and that's kind of the issue. Milwaukee actually lost 4 straight games of his to finish April, and then he beat Washington last time out and shut them out and actually no-hit them. They took him out in the middle of a no-hitter, man, against Washington after 5 1/3 innings. I don't know what happened. I don't know if there was a rain delay or what, but I wouldn't imagine they would have taken him out 85 pitches in a no-hitter. That doesn't make sense to me. So I don't know what happened there. Although you don't want to overwork, a young arm that throws 100 miles an hour constantly like this. You don't want to throw his arm out, man. So I don't know. It's the new pitching age, man. And I believe the Yankees haven't faced him. Let me see. Yeah, so Misiorowski has an unfamiliarity edge against the Yankees. They haven't seen him before. I mean, the money's actually hitting the over in this game. The total's at 7, juice to the over. 84% of tickets on the under. It looks like such an obvious under. That's kind of the issue I have with this. The under almost looks too obvious. And, you don't really love the fact that the Yankees' bullpen is unrested. Milwaukee's bullpen isn't great. 84% of tickets on the under, 57% of the cash on the over, though. So it looks like there is some market pushback against the under there. Some money looks like it's actually hitting the over. Money is hitting Milwaukee. 62% of tickets on the Yankees, 83% of the cash on Milwaukee. You could make the argument for it because Miz has more unfamiliarity here. Fried, you could make the argument his matchup numbers are not great against Milwaukee, but I don't know, man. It seems a little bit iffy, but again, this is a tax. You're paying a premium for the Yankees with Max Fried on the mound at minus, 130 or so. That is a little bit of a price to lay. Like, you're getting Mizurowski as a home underdog like that, man. That is, that seems like there's decent value there on the Milwaukee side. But I don't like the spot, like I told you, even though Milwaukee does have a rest advantage here, which does help. I don't love the return home spot. I think the better attack in this, the better way to attack this game might actually be first 5 under. It's going to be a low number, though, probably 3.5, maybe even 3. But that's the way that I see it, man. I think both starting pitchers do well enough to get that thing under first 5, but there's not a lot of leeway there, so that's not going to be a play for me. I'm going to take a break. Usually I do it with 5 games left. I'm going to do it with 6 games left to go here. The next game up is a play for me. Then we're going to do playoff stuff, and I'm going to talk about WNBA as well, which maybe I'll talk about WNBA next because it's boring. Well, it's not boring when you can win money on it, but I don't have a play either. But I'll be right back, and I'll talk about all that. All right. Next game up is a play for me, which is, what's the game again? I already forget what it is. It is Seattle and the White Sox, yeah. All right, hang on. All right, this game is a full game under, and I know the White Sox bullpen is bad, but both teams didn't play yesterday, so we do have rest with both bullpens here, so the better bullpen arms are available for both teams. And Seattle's bullpen is good enough that I think they might be able to just help us out here and counter that. I like unders when there's rest, man, because I think the offenses could be a little bit cold coming into the game, and the bullpens are rested. Seattle's only ranked 14th in WHIP, but their ERA is one of the best, so I still think they're one of the top bullpens. And yes, the White Sox are not good at 24th, but they're not one of those bullpens that's like the most miserable. I don't necessarily want to trust them, but I'm going to factor them into this under here. And I like the starting pitching matchup as well, which we'll talk about in a minute. White Sox are returning home from a road trip where they went to the Pacific Coast. That's a bad spot when you're returning home from the Pacific Coast, even though they lost the last couple games. I don't like that. You're traveling multiple time zones. You have to get back to home life. That's bad, but I'm going to focus on the hitting being distracted here. Seattle, maybe could be a little bit lackluster here because they did just win a big series against Atlanta. Now, they are starting a road trip, and usually you will be focused to start a road trip, but I think it could be a letdown spot for Seattle coming off of beating Atlanta the other day. I mean, that was a good win for Seattle. I believe that was not yesterday, right? Let me make sure of that. No. Yeah, so both bullpens are rested here. Kind of a questionable spot for both teams, although, yes, I think Seattle's in a better spot than the White Sox. White Sox returning home from a road trip, but still, you're looking at two teams that are crossing time zones here. This game's going to be on ESPN Unlimited, by the way, so two of my plays are on actual other systems here or other services and not MLB TV. But I still hate it that baseball's just nowhere except MLB TV. Anyway, whatever. Offensively, by the way, neither offense has been that great this year, so we do have that coming into play here. White Sox, I know they're 18th. They've hit better than people expect, but they're not like an elite offense or anything like that. Seattle has struggled. They're 20th in offense. And I know this is not in Seattle's pitcher-friendly ballpark, but even so, I like the under here. And we're going to roll with the starting pitching here where I think both of these starting pitchers might go under the radar here, man. I think in both of the matchups I talked about, Prelip versus Messick, I think both of those guys are still under the radar. This matchup, I think, is definitely an under-the-radar pitching match where both pitchers have actually been surprisingly good. Emerson Hancock is pitching for the Mariners. He's got a 2.59 ERA, 0.96 whip, and he's been even slightly better on the road, 2.41 ERA. With Seattle, you got to look at those home-road splits because their home is so pitcher-friendly that a lot of times their pitchers are way better at home. That has not been the case with Hancock. And he's coming off a ridiculous outing where he struck out 14 and walked nobody against the Royals and held them to one earned run. Now, yes, there was a little bit of a concern here because he threw over 100 pitches, although he got close to 100 in one other start, although he wasn't great in the next start after that, which was against the A's, but he still held them to 3 earned runs, although he gave up 3 homers in that one. And no, it was not in the A's stadium. I would give him more of a pass if that was the case, but still, Hancock's been really, he's been good, and the fact that he struck out 14 in the last outing, that tells me that he's in form, so I'm not as worried about a letdown here. He's got 46 strikeouts and 6 walks. That is a ridiculous ratio. And 34 hits allowed in 41 2/3 innings. Hancock, he's 26. His career looked like it wasn't really panning out. Well, now it looks like it is, man, because he looks like he's reached another level this year where he is pitching really, really well. So I like that. And he's going up against the White Sox, who have basically never seen him before. Benintendi's the only hitter who's ever faced him. He's 1 for 2 with a walk against him, and the hit was a single. No strikeouts, but still there's nothing you can really read into it other than the fact that Hancock is unfamiliar to the White Sox. And as I always say, when you have a good pitcher and the opposing lineup hasn't faced him before, the opposing lineup is at a disadvantage usually. Sean Burke is pitching for the White Sox, and last year it looked like Shane Smith was the better of the two Massachusetts guys for the White Sox. I guess not. I guess that's not the case because Burke has actually been really good this year. 2.72 ERA, 1.01 whip. He's been better at home slightly, 2.66 ERA at home. He's coming off back-to-back shutouts against Washington and San Diego, although I know it was San Diego on the road. Yeah, it's a pitcher-friendly ballpark, but still, you shut them out for 6 innings, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk. Didn't walk anybody in the prior outing. That's some good stuff, man. He's only allowed more than 2 earned runs twice on the season, and one of them was in his opening start on the road against Milwaukee, and still had 5 strikeouts, 1 walk in that one. He's got 39 2/3 innings, 32 strikeouts, not a high strikeout rate, but he's only walked 8. So he has not walked a lot of guys, and he's only allowed 32 hits. His overall numbers are solid, man. I think we could back him here against a Seattle lineup that hasn't really done a ton this year. Although Seattle is better on the road. It's very difficult to hit in Seattle. So, yes, you do have to worry about that a little bit. But Seattle's totally unfamiliar to Burke, except Naylor must have faced him when Naylor was on Cleveland. Naylor is 2 for 2. Was Naylor on Cleveland? No, he was on Arizona. I'm thinking of Bo Naylor. No, he was on Cleveland. Wait, what the fuck? Yeah, he was on Cleveland. I don't know what I'm thinking, man. And then he was on Arizona, too. I don't know what the fuck I'm thinking. Anyway, Naylor is 2 for 2 off him with a double and a home run and a walk. So, yeah, Naylor has absolutely destroyed Burke. But I'm not that worried about that because that's one guy, and the rest of their lineup hasn't even seen him. So I think we have a lot of unfamiliarity here. Both pitchers have established themselves pretty well this season already. Yeah, we're going under in this game. Let me see here. What do we have for the I'm looking at the market numbers here. Wait, where are the White Sox? What? Oh, here it is. CHW. I thought it was CWS. We don't really see, there's no percentages to be seen here yet. So do with that information what you want. Seattle's also minus 130, whatever. I'm going to slightly lean Seattle here. I think Hancock might be a little bit better than Burke, and the spot is a little bit better for Seattle, and the bullpen is better. So I'll lean Seattle a bit here. There's also a reason why they're favored on the road, but we're going under in that game, under the 8. All right. Let's finish off Major League Baseball here. I don't have any more baseball plays. The Cubs are at Texas here. Both teams did play yesterday. The Cubs are on a ridiculous streak right now. They've won, 9 games in a row, maybe, something like that. They just swept Cincinnati in a 4-game series, blew them out yesterday. Now they're starting a road trip. Now, yes, starting a road trip usually is a focus spot. You carry your momentum with you if you have positive momentum. Usually you want to get the road trip off on the right foot, but are they going to be in a letdown spot? Because they started that series right, with Cincinnati right behind them. Then they swept Cincinnati completely out of it, So they might be in a little bit of a letdown spot here, but Texas is not in a good spot. Texas is returning home from a road trip. They went to Detroit and the Yankees. That's pretty big. Those were big series, and I know they got beat up yesterday, 9-2, but they're returning home from that, so it's not a great spot for Texas. Could be a distracted spot, although then again, they're facing one of the best teams in Major League Baseball, the Cubs. So maybe Texas will get up for it for that reason. Bullpen-wise, both bullpens are pretty good this year. Texas used 5 relief pitchers yesterday, though. The Cubs used 3. Texas, normally I would say they have the better bullpen. They're ranked 6th right now. The Cubs are 7th, although Texas's ERA is about a run better. But rest-wise, kind of balances that out a little bit. I think either way you look at it, though, you're looking at 2 pretty good bullpens here. The offenses, the Cubs are the way better offense, though. They're 4th in offense. Texas is 25th. We're looking at a pitcher-friendly ballpark here in Texas. Ben Brown is listed as the starter for the Cubs here, and I will, what I will say is the same thing I said about Dollander. I don't know if Brown is actually going to make the start here or not, because he's been coming out of the bullpen, and he has actually pitched well out of the bullpen, but that might mean that the Cubs might put an opener in front of them. You know what I mean? So if you're going to handicap this and assume that Brown is going to have a starter's workload here, same thing I said with Dollander, I would make this play action. Just because I'm not entirely sure that Brown will actually start the game. I think he is going to go multiple innings here, but I don't know if he's going to be the first one out. Now, Brown is an interesting case because I've liked some of the numbers that I see out of him. He has good stuff. He's able to strike guys out at a high rate, but it never really panned out as a starter, and now he's 26. But he's been a lot better out of the bullpen. He's got a 2.1 ERA, 1.01 whip, but again, that's out of the bullpen. He's been a little bit worse on the road, 2.79 road ERA. That's obviously still not bad. But he also hasn't gone more than 2 innings in any of his outings. Actually, sorry, he went 3 1/3 in his first couple outings this season, which didn't really go particularly well. Although, actually, he wasn't even that bad there. He gave up 2 earned runs total, 8-2 strikeout walk ratio there. Whatever. But since then, he's had a lot of scoreless outings, a lot of shorter outings. Typically, he's going 2 innings. I honestly don't know. It is possible they're using him as an opener here, too, though. So it's very difficult to figure out what the Cubs are going to do here, man. But it looks like it is going to be kind of a bullpen-esque game for the Cubs here. So you got to keep that in mind. Brown has a 24-8 strikeout walk ratio, 18 hits allowed in 25 2/3 innings. But, in short stints. But, again, he might go out there and give you 2 really good innings today, too. Because that's basically what he's been doing this season. So, what he's Ben Brown doing. There you go. He might be able to do that again here. Brown against Texas hasn't been that good, but only 10 at-bats worth. He's given up a home run to Josh Jung. 300 batting average allowed, 1,017 OPS allowed, 2-2 strikeout walk ratio. But it's only 10 at-bats, so there's not that much you can take away from that. 6 of their hitters have faced him before. But yes, he struggled a bit against Texas in those during those at-bats, yes. Kumar Rocker is pitching for the Rangers. His numbers aren't great. 4.71 ERA, 1.47 whip. He's been good at home, though. 2.65 home ERA. So he pitches well at home. It's a more pitcher-friendly ballpark. He just gave up 5 earned runs in 2 innings on the road against Detroit. That was a very bad outing. But his other outings haven't really been that bad. He's given up 3 or fewer earned runs in all the rest of his outings. That was the game against the Dodgers. He's had to play he's pitched in the A's stadium, then had to turn around and face the A's again. He hasn't really faced the easiest lineups here, really. Overall, he's got a 24-10 strikeout walk ratio, which it's too many walks, but it's not that bad. 32 hits allowed in 28 2/3 innings. That's not good, but his overall numbers aren't really that bad. Still putting too many guys on base, though. But he might be able to pitch okay. Texas has basically never seen him. Only McCutchen has ever seen him. He's 1 for 3 with a single and a strikeout. So I think Rocker might actually be able to do okay, but the spot for Texas is not good. The money is coming in on the Cubs. 72% of tickets, 93% of the cash on the Cubs. You're going to lay a price with the Cubs, though. They're laying minus 135 here, basically. Should the Cubs really be laying that price against a team that does pitch pretty well on the road with basically a bullpen game set up here? I'm not sure about that, man. I think the Cubs are riding some recency bias here. I think probably you are paying a bit of a premium, a tax on the Cubs there. So, yeah, I don't know. I think the Cubs might be priced a little bit too high in that game. I could see the argument for the under here. The total's at 8.5. I worry that it's going to be a Cubs bullpen game, though, so you just really don't know what the Cubs are going to do there. But Rocker's been decent at home. There is some unfamiliarity there with both pitchers, really. But, yeah, I don't want to play the game. There's just this whole game is just too much of a question mark to really want to play the game at all. But, those are my thoughts on it. Mets at Arizona. Arizona played yesterday. They're staying at home. They just lost to Pittsburgh yesterday, lost the series. Didn't play particularly well in the last 2 games. They only scored 2 runs over the last 2 games. That's not good in what's considered to be a hitter-friendly ballpark. But one of those games they faced Paul Skeens, so you got to give them a break for that. The Mets had yesterday off, I believe. They played Colorado yesterday. So they're coming in from Colorado. This is going to be their 3rd series on the road trip, and they're coming in from high elevation and just lost a 3-game win streak. So I guess, it's possible there's a bit of a hangover here. Maybe the travel spot's not that good. Probably the situation's better for Arizona, but the pitching matchup heavily favors the Mets, in my opinion, here. And I think probably objectively. The Mets did use 3 relief pitchers yesterday, though, including Kimbrel, who I don't know if they're trying to use him as a closer at this point. I don't think they are. I think they're using Devin Williams as a closer, even though he sucked in that role for the Yankees last year. I don't know, man. I don't know what the Mets are doing. Arizona, I don't like their bullpen, though. They used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Arizona's ranked 3rd in bullpen whip, and I still don't know how. Their ERA is 4.56. I'm still saying they're not a very good bullpen. But maybe I'm going to have to adjust my thoughts. Like, if that ERA really starts dropping, I might have to change what I think about that. Mets have a better bullpen ERA, but they're 12th in bullpen whip. And their ERA is a little bit above 4. So I think the Mets are probably the slightly better bullpen, but they're not great. I think slight bullpen edge to the Mets here. Hitting-wise, yeah, the Mets suck. The Mets are not dead last, though. They jumped ahead of the Giants, but the Mets' offense has been bad. I know Soto was out for some of that, but they're still not hitting well. And they're just coming out of Coors Field. They didn't even hit that well in Coors Field. But they're playing in another hitter-friendly ballpark here, at least in Arizona. Arizona's offense has fallen off recently. They're at 17th now, although I think their offense is better than that. But they're going to have to deal with Nolan McLean, who is probably the best player on the Mets, even though he's a young pitcher and he only plays every 5 games. He's been really good. A 2.97 ERA, 0.94 whip, 2.76 ERA on the road, so he's been slightly better on the road. He only made it 4 innings last time out on the road against Anaheim, gave up 3 earned runs, but he still had 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. I don't know what happened in that game, why he wound up leaving the game 78 pitches in. You'd think they would have left him in for another inning or so. I don't know. I don't know what that was there. But I'm not too worried about it. McLean's numbers are really good. 51 strikeouts, 11 walks, only 2 home runs allowed, which is very few. 26 hits allowed in 39 and third innings. These numbers across the board are really, really good. Yeah, so not really an issue there. McLean against Arizona, they have 21 at-bats against him, 8 strikeouts, 2 walks, 143 average, and 408 OPS. McLean has pitched well against Arizona. He actually did face them this year on April 9th, so I guess you could argue Arizona's more familiar with him now, but McLean's been so good basically against everybody that I think he should pitch well again here. He held Arizona to 2 runs in 6 and a third innings in that outing, 8 strikeouts, 2 walks. You know, I think generally it's just safe to assume McLean's going to be good because his bad starts are just outliers. The same cannot be said for Ryan Nelson. You know I'm not a fan of him, and his numbers are pretty bad this year. He's from Henderson, Nevada, man, so there you go, another Nevada pitcher who is closer to Area 51, by the way. 6.61 ERA, 1.44 whip, not good numbers there. He's been awful at home, 14.4 home ERA, really, really bad stuff. He's coming off a decent outing against the Cubs on the road where he got no run support, but his last 2 home games, he gave up 14 runs in 5 and a third innings. And yes, I know that giving up 8 runs in a third of an inning against the Blue Jays, I know that's going to skew your numbers dramatically, but still, that is a bad sign. Toronto's not even that good of an offense. You get just blasted like that. And then in his next start, San Diego was not a very good offense, basically torched him as well. That's not good. 28 strikeouts for him in 31 and a third innings. That's not really that bad. 32 hits allowed. That's not even that bad either. 13 walks, kind of where the concern comes in. The walk number is kind of an issue. It's still not that bad, though. So, I mean, his whip does kind of indicate that his ERA should not be quite as bad as it is, but these numbers are still not good at all. Nelson against the Mets here. He has actually done okay against the Mets, although the OPS is not good. 59 career at-bats, 14-9 strikeout walk ratio. It's way too many walks, but 7 of them are Soto. So he looks like he pitches around him. He's given up a 220 average to them, which is low, but a 764 OPS, pretty high. Soto has 2 home runs off him. Alvarez has a home run off him. Obviously, I think McLean is the way better pitcher over Ryan Nelson here, so I think just based on that and probably a little bit of a bullpen edge as well with the Mets, I think I'm going to lean to the Mets here. The money is coming in on Arizona, though. 56% of tickets, 88% of the cash on them. The number has dropped on the Mets money line here, but the Mets are a road favorite here around minus 130. But I still think I would lean that way towards the Mets money line, although it seems like the money seems to think that Nelson might pitch well here because the money's coming in on Arizona and on the under here. I don't know, man. I'm a starting pitching matchup guy. I don't want to overrate the starting pitching, but I think it's a big edge to the Mets in that one. You could go first 5 Mets as well and focus just on the starting pitching edge they have there. St. Louis at San Diego is on Apple TV. These teams started the series yesterday, and St. Louis won 2-1 yesterday, so very low-scoring game yesterday. It is a pitcher-friendly ballpark. Bullpen-wise, St. Louis's bullpen is still not good, though. They're lightly used, though, recently. They used 3 relief pitchers yesterday for not a lot of pitches, so that's not too bad. San Diego used 3 relief pitchers as well. San Diego is the way better bullpen, though. They're ranked 4th right now. They are one of the best bullpens. St. Louis, the same cannot be said. They're 25th, so there is a big bullpen edge with San Diego here. Offensively, St. Louis is hit way better, though. They're 8th in offense. San Diego's 26th. So St. Louis is hit way better. Michael McGreevy is pitching for St. Louis, and on the surface, it looks like St. Louis does have a big starting pitching edge here. Michael McGreevy has pretty good numbers this year. 2.52 ERA, 0.92 whip. Good stuff, but he's been worse on the road pretty significantly. 4.41 road ERA. St. Louis is a pitcher-friendly park, so that kind of makes sense, but so is San Diego, so he might pitch well here for that reason. He's coming off a 6-inning shutout against the Dodgers, so I guess you could make the argument he'll be in a little bit of a letdown after that. He did walk 3 guys in that outing, but his overall numbers are not really much of a concern other than the fact that he doesn't strike anybody out. 24 strikeouts in 39 1/3 innings, but he keeps guys off the bases, man. He's only walked 8 guys and allowed 28 hits. So whatever he does, even though he doesn't strike guys out, I don't know, man. He doesn't even induce a lot of ground balls, so I don't know how he does it, but he doesn't allow a lot of guys to reach base, and he's only allowed more than 2 earned runs. He's hard to get. He's allowed more than 2 earned runs only twice this season. On the road, both of them against Detroit and Miami, which is kind of weird. Detroit, kind of explainable. That's more of a hitter-friendly park. Detroit's got a good offense. Miami, I don't know what that was. That's a more pitcher-friendly park against a lighter-hitting Miami offense, but still. Overall, I mean, he hasn't allowed more than 4 earned runs in any outing this season, though. In all but 2 of them, he's allowed 2 or fewer. So, yes, we get it. He's pitching well. But his numbers against San Diego are actually bad in 34 at-bats. It's a decent sample. 3-1 strikeout walk ratio, 353 average, allowed a 989 OPS. So he has not pitched well specifically against San Diego. So that, at least, that keeps me off of wanting to play St. Louis here. Griffin Canning is pitching for the Padres. I'm not a fan of Canning. He has not been good throughout his career. He's only made 1 start so far this season, although he was fine in that start. 1.8 ERA after that and 1.2 whip. It was at home against the White Sox. He had kind of an easy draw in that game, pitching in a pitcher-friendly park against a mediocre at best lineup. Had 7 strikeouts, 3 walks. That was not good, the walks. 3 hits allowed in 5 innings. I still don't trust Canning, though. I just don't think he's very good. Numbers against St. Louis are good, though, in 20 at-bats. It's not a huge sample, but he's allowed no extra base hits, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks, 200 batting average allowed, 473 OPS. I don't know. I don't have a good feel for this game really at all. The starting pitching, the matchup numbers actually make it look like you should actually lean to San Diego here and in a bounce back after yesterday, and they're actually getting the money. 66% of tickets, 80% of the cash on San Diego. They're at minus 145 or so. I'm not sure that Griffin Canning should ever be a favorite like that, really, but I still don't think St. Louis is a very good team, though. And San Diego was returning home off a nice series win against San Francisco. So I don't know. Maybe they were in not the greatest spot there. Maybe this is a bounce-back spot for them. I guess I will agree with leaning to San Diego just based on what the matchup numbers look like, but I really don't trust Griffin Canning. So I don't know, man. I don't love the game at all. The total's pretty low as well. It's 7.5 or 8. Thinking that it's going to be a pitching matchup here. I'm not so sure about that. But if you play San Diego, full game does make sense because you want the bullpen advantage to be there. Atlanta at the Dodgers is going to be the top series of the weekend probably. I mean, these are 2 of the top teams in baseball, man. I mean, we're talking about 2 of the top 3 offensive teams, with the Dodgers ranked 1, Braves ranked 3 right now. And we're talking about the number 1 and number 2 bullpens, Dodgers and then Braves. I'm not sure if I agree that they're actually the top 2 bullpens, but they've both been really good. This is a good series, man. Atlanta is traveling. They're having to travel in from Seattle, so they are already in the Pacific time zone at least. And they just lost the series to Seattle. I mean, they're obviously going to get up for a series against the Dodgers. The Dodgers likely will be focused as well, but they are returning home from a road trip. They're coming home from St. Louis and Houston, so I know I talk about it all the time. Team returning home from a road trip, not good. You tend to be a bit distracted. You got to get back to home life. The Dodgers did just put up a lot of runs in 2 of those 3 games against Houston and had 1 weird outlier where they didn't score at all. But the Dodgers, I mean, I don't think they're going to overlook Atlanta here, but they are still returning home. It is still a distraction spot. This game is on ESPN Unlimited, by the way. And, it's worse for the Dodgers because they have to go up against Chris Sale, which is not an easy task. Sale is still pitching pretty much at an elite level. 2.14 ERA, 0.9 whip. He's not been as good on the road, though. He's got a 4 road ERA, so he hasn't been as good on the road. Pitched really well in his last outing in Coors Field, though. Dominated the Rockies for 7 innings, 3 hits allowed, 1 earned run, 11 strikeouts, 3 walks. Atlanta's won all but one of his outings, which was a road outing against Anaheim. That was his only bad outing of the season. I don't know what happened in that outing. He gave up 6 earned runs, but that's skewing his numbers. That's the only reason why his road numbers are bad, because in all of his other starts, he's allowed 1 or fewer earned runs. So, yeah, that was a major outlier, I think, against Anaheim. I don't know what that was. I don't expect him to pitch poorly here, although he is going up against one of the best offenses in baseball here, the LA Dodgers. But Sale has done well against them in the past. 69 career at-bats against these hitters, 21 strikeouts, 5 walks, 159 average allowed, 535 OPS. So I do not expect Sale to pitch poorly here. I think he will pitch decent at least here. He's going up against the young guy, Emmett Sheehan, man. So a big age gap between these two pitchers. Sheehan doesn't have great numbers on the season, 5.23 ERA, 1.32 whip for the Dodgers. He's been a little bit better at home, 4.6 ERA at home, which is where he will be here. He didn't do well against St. Louis last time out, and I think we lost on that game. That's not a great sign. St. Louis is a decent offense this year, though. He got knocked around in that game. He got a little bit unlucky in that he gave up 2 home runs, but he did give up 8 hits and didn't even manage to get 5 innings into the game. Still had 8 strikeouts and no walks, though, so the command numbers were good. Overall, he's got good command numbers, 36 strikeouts, 9 walks in 31 innings. He's only allowed 32 hits, so overall his numbers are not bad. Like, his numbers don't look good on the surface, but you dig into his numbers a bit more, they don't look bad to me. So I don't think Sheehan is that bad. I think he might be able to pitch okay here. He's not as good as Chris Sale, obviously. I don't think we're going out on a limb there. His numbers against Atlanta are pretty good, though. In 21 at-bats, it's a small sample. 6 strikeouts, 2 walks, 143 average, allowed 503 OPS. I think we have a pitching duel on our hands here, man. I do. I don't have a good feel for the side, although I probably would lean Atlanta slightly here. But you might pay a premium for Chris Sale. It looks like the line actually flipped to the Dodgers being a favorite, though. The Dodgers are now like minus 120, but I don't know, man. Do you think the Dodgers, should they really be favored with Emmett Sheehan on the mound against Chris Sale? I'm not so sure about that, man. I think I would lean towards getting Atlanta as the under. Getting Chris Sale as an underdog, you're almost never going to get that. So I might lean that way, but the odds makers are telling you they basically think Sheehan can match up here. I think an under is worth maybe considering here. 93% of tickets and 91% of the cash on the under, So the money's indicating towards the over, though. And the money's indicating towards the Dodgers with 70% of tickets, 56% of the cash on Atlanta. I think, Sale probably is attracting the public money here, though. The public's probably thinking the same thing that I just said. Oh, my God, we get Sale as an underdog here. But I don't know, man. To me, the situation is better for Atlanta here with the Dodgers traveling and whatever. And you get a decent matchup with Sale on the mound. So, Dodgers, I believe they were off yesterday. I think both teams were off yesterday. So that helps with an under as well. You get 2 pretty good bullpens right now that were off yesterday. So I think that helps the under, man. You get rested bullpens. The offenses might not click right away. Yeah, I think under makes a lot of sense in that game, actually. Under the 8. It's not going to be on my card, but that's what I think. And then the last game is Pittsburgh at San Francisco. San Francisco coming off a series where they lost to the Padres here. They're staying at home. Maybe they're in a bounce-back mode here after a couple of bad games. I don't know, because they're not a very good team. Pittsburgh is coming in from winning 5 out of their last 6 games. They're coming in from Arizona here. Not a horrible travel spot for Pittsburgh necessarily. The starting pitching matchup, we don't really know exactly what it's going to be, though. ESPN has it listed, but the Wager Talk screen does not have a pitcher listed for San Francisco, so I don't know. Pittsburgh used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. They did play yesterday. San Francisco was off, so San Francisco has a little bit of an edge here because they're rested. San Francisco does have a rest edge. San Francisco's bullpen is ranked 15th, but I think they're better than that. I think they're a good bullpen. Pittsburgh's ranked 13th, but I do not think Pittsburgh has the better bullpen. And they're not rested like San Francisco is, so I think you have to give San Francisco the bullpen edge. Obviously, they do not have the hitting edge, though. Pittsburgh is 10th offensively, and San Francisco is dead last, 30th. So, yes, Pittsburgh has the better offense. Carmen Mlodzinski is going to be pitching for the Pirates. He hasn't been that good at all. 4.76 ERA, 1.5 whip. That's not good. 5.6 road ERA as well. That's bad. So he hasn't been good on the road. But he does get a very weak offense that he gets to face here in a pitcher-friendly ballpark. Overall, I mean, he does have a high strikeout rate. I will say that. 40 strikeouts in 34 innings. That's pretty good. 13 walks. Could be worse, I guess. He's only allowed 1 home run. That's not bad, but he's allowed 38 hits. That's not great. But I guess, overall, I mean, his numbers on the surface look really bad, but you kind of dig into the numbers. They're not quite so bad. I think maybe he's gotten a little bit unlucky, but he doesn't go deep into most of his outings. I don't know if he's fully trustworthy here, but this might be a decent matchup for him. His numbers against the Giants are good in a small 16 at-bat sample size, although most of their hitters have faced him. 2-2 strikeout walk ratio, 125 average allowed, and 347 OPS. No extra base hits there. So Mlodzinski might pitch well here in this matchup. We have undecided, though, for San Francisco, so I don't know what's going on because initially it was going to be Robbie Ray. We could handicap Ray here just in case it is him. 2.95 ERA, 1.06 whip. Ray has been pretty good this year. 2.01 home ERA. He's been good at home. Last year he pitched really well for most of the season, and I think he was also good at home last year as well. He kind of fell off at the end of last year, but we're early in the season, man. He's pitching well. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all of his outings. 40 strikeouts, 14 walks. It's too many walks. 7 home runs isn't great either. 28 hits allowed, though, in 39 2/3 innings. He has not allowed that many hits. So Ray, overall, he is decent, or maybe better than decent. His numbers against the Pirates are also fine. In 54 at-bats, 20-0 strikeout walk ratio. That's pretty good. 259 batting average allowed, 685 OPS. So if Ray does pitch, I think we could be looking at maybe a first 5 under in that game. I think the matchup looks decent there. The money is coming in on Pittsburgh for what that's worth. I'm not so sure about that. 60% of tickets, 95% of the cash on Pittsburgh. San Francisco's a slight favorite right now, and Pittsburgh, or the total is at 7.5. So the odds makers, the line almost looks like it is expecting Ray to still start here. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not, though. Anyway, finally we're done with the baseball card there. All right, let's finish this off. We'll do WNBA really quick here. I don't have a whole lot to say about the WNBA. The first game up, which is really the big mismatch, is Connecticut at New York. The Liberty are the way better of the two teams, but they might overlook Connecticut because Connecticut was just awful last year. Connecticut was a doormat, and they're still expected to be bad. The Liberty, I don't even know the personnel here, whatever. The Liberty are 9.5, 10.5 point favorite here, somewhere between 9.5 and 10.5, basically 10. So you have to lay double digits with the Liberty. I don't know about that, man. In the first game of the season, a lot of people are going to overreact to last year. And while clearly New York is the better of these two teams, and I think Connecticut is so bad they're actually leaving Connecticut. I think they're not going to be playing in Connecticut anymore. I don't know where they're going, but I think they are moving. In fact, I don't know. That it might be out there. That information might actually be out there. They just claimed Van Lith after the Sky waived her. Isn't that just great? I don't even know who these people are, to be honest. I don't know, dude. But yeah, I'm going to lean to Connecticut slightly plus the points there. I don't have, these are not strong opinions from me right now. But, I think just based on last year and people just realize that Connecticut is bad, but you're probably paying a bit of a premium to play the Liberty, who I believe won the championship 2 years ago. And they've been one of the top teams in the league for the last few years. And really, they're one of the staples of the league because they're one of the original teams with Rebecca Lobo, whatever. So, yeah, whatever. I think you're paying a little bit of a premium with the Liberty. I would lean against them there. 63% of tickets and cash on Connecticut, whatever. Washington, the Mystics, who were one of the worst teams in the league last year as well. We won a couple of games with Washington. We picked some good spots to play Washington last year. They played really well as a big underdog last year, but they're not an underdog in this game. They're playing against an expansion team, the Toronto Tempo. The way the expansion works is pretty much the same as in like whatever other sport. The NHL basically is the comparable sport here, where they have an expansion draft. So basically, every team gets to protect a certain number of players. So every team protects their best players and whatever. And then the teams they don't protect go into the draft. So the expansion teams are able to draft those players, and that's how they form their team. You know what I mean? But it's interesting because, like, the hockey, when they did that, with the Vegas Knights and whatever, everybody was like, who are these scrubs? They're going to suck. And then the Knights made the Stanley Cup Finals or whatever. And I think they won a championship within their first couple of years. I'm not going to say that Toronto's going to do that. I don't think they will. But Toronto's a very small underdog here. And I think people are basically going to be like, oh, this team's a bunch of scrubs. But they're playing against a bad team in Washington. The money does look like it did hit Washington and flip them to the favorite here. But I think I would probably lean Toronto there just because nobody even knows who the fuck they are. And they're, a scrub expansion team. Maybe they get motivated, man. It's going to be their first game as a team. So, there's like no film on this team, but then again, they have to get chemistry, you know what I mean? An expansion team like this might not have chemistry right out of the gate, so that is a problem. But then again, teams aren't going to know what the fuck the team's even going to look like, so how do you defend against a team that you don't even know what the fuck they're going to do? You know what I mean? So there's that, and then Golden State at Seattle. People are going to probably look at this line if they know anything about the WNBA. They're going to think, what is this line? Golden State, who I believe they were an expansion team last year or the year before that, and they started gelling and playing really well. They went way under the radar, and they're now a 6.5-point favorite against Seattle, which is really interesting because Seattle was one of the better-ish teams last year. But the odds makers are clearly telling you Golden State's the way better team. And Golden State has I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what the rules are in the WNBA, but I know Golden State spent a lot of money over the offseason. So they're supposed to be one of the better teams in the league this year. And they were a real value team last year. They were getting constantly undervalued in the market last year. So we did have some plays on them last year too. But obviously the market has completely adjusted. And now they're a 6.5-point road favorite against Seattle. So the market has caught up, let's say. Seattle lost to Golden State in the preseason, by the way, at Golden State. I don't think that really matters. Who cares? Preseason, I think you just throw it out. But I think, the people that are just basing this off of last year, I think these people are going to think this is a huge value to get Seattle as a big underdog here. Like, why is Golden State, this fairly new team, why are they favored by this much on the road? But I'm telling you right now, their personnel is actually quite good. I think they made some good pickups over the offseason, whatever. I don't know. I don't follow WNBA really, but they're minus 5.5 at most spots now. They're favored by that much for a reason. 80% of tickets, 95% of the cash on Golden State. I would lean towards laying the points in that one with Golden State, but I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Charles, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Yes, TLC, no scrubs. Man, my neck kills and my back. And, the other two things that get talked about in that song. Next game up, hockey. We're going to have a play in hockey in Montreal and Buffalo. These games are on TNT, HBO Max, True TV. Let's do it. We are going to have a play on the Montreal Canadiens as an underdog here, man. I think this is a spot to actually do it with the zigzag. Buffalo won the first game. Neither team has a huge experience edge here, man. So both teams are not used to being here. Montreal is really young, so yes, that is true. Buffalo, their goaltender, Leon or whatever, has been slightly better than Dbacks, but they're both pretty good. And if you look at what happened in the first game, I think it was misleading. And that's why we're going to do it, and we're going to play Montreal here, man. And by the way, Montreal was not a bad road team this season. Buffalo was pretty decent at home, but Montreal was not that much worse on the road. Montreal is certainly capable of winning a game on the road. And if you look at what happened in this first game, Buffalo had 2 power play goals, so a couple of their goals were with the man advantage, although, yes, Montreal had a power play goal as well. But, Buffalo did have a big lead, so, yes, Montreal was firing a bunch of desperation shots. But if you look at what happened in this game, Montreal was the better team, like all across the board statistically. Montreal won 63% of the faceoffs. They were the more physical team with more hits, and they outshot Buffalo 28-16. And while, yes, some of that is because they were in desperation mode, but still, Buffalo scored 4 goals on 16 shots. I mean, come on, man. And no, there was not an empty net goal, but 2 power play goals. But still, a decent goaltender like Dbacks, he's not going to allow 4 goals. He's not going to have a 750 save percentage again. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it was an outlier of a game, in my opinion. Montreal was actually the better team in the game. So the final score was very misleading, in my opinion. So I think we could definitely take Montreal as an underdog here, and I think you're going to get a better game from them. I think Montreal is going to get it done. I think they're going to even the series here. I think it's a close series. I don't think either team is going to beat Carolina, sorry. Buffalo looks like they're getting some of the money, but they look public. 62% of tickets, 70% of the cash on them. They're about minus 130 something. Total is getting a lot of money towards the under, which helps as an underdog, by the way. The total's at 5.5 or 6, so it's expected to be kind of a lower scoring game. And that's good for the underdog as well. It means the underdog has a better chance of hanging in the game. I like it. We're going to take Montreal. Again, it's a zigzag spot where I think Montreal was the better team in the first game, and it's a bit misleading. The second game is Vegas at Anaheim with a 1-1 tied series. Anaheim actually was the better team in game 1, even though they lost, and we got the win on that game with Vegas. Anaheim flipped it around and won 3-1 in the second game, and they did score an empty net goal, and then there was a stupid penalty at the very end of the game, and Vegas scored a power play goal. I think also with the empty net still in play, I think they did that, so I think they had a 2-man advantage in that power play, and they scored with 6 seconds left, so they avoided the shutout. Whatever. The question is, was this misleading? The fact that Anaheim won 3-1? I would say slightly. Anaheim actually played better in game 1, believe it or not, even though they won game 2. Vegas dominated the faceoffs, dude. Vegas won 63% of the faceoffs. The hits were the same, and Anaheim did outshoot Vegas a little bit. But the faceoff percentage, kind of tells you that team had more possession in the game. I don't hate Vegas here in this spot here. They're the more experienced team. Both coaches have a lot of experience, though. Even though Tortorella is new to being in Vegas, and Anaheim has, Quenneville, I think is his name. Yeah, he's been around for a long time, but he's new to Anaheim this year, I think. So I don't know. The coaching, I think, is a bit of a wash here. One thing to worry about, though, is Vegas was not that good on the road, and Anaheim was significantly better at home than on the road. But I don't know how much of a home advantage either team has in this series, because this is a close series geographically. You could drive between these locations, and these teams might even be doing that. I don't know. So I don't know, man. You could drive in a few hours probably between these locations, I think. So, yeah, I don't have a good read on this game. I do think Vegas played better in game 2 than the final score makes it look. The money is coming in on Anaheim, though, and Anaheim is better at home, but initially it looks like the money... Well, actually, I don't know. It's hard to tell. I mean, the line has really just been a pick-em price the whole time. 56% of tickets, 73% of the cash on Anaheim. Looks like some money's coming in towards the over. The total is higher in this game. It's 6.5. It is a series where I think the defense is a little bit worse. Although I think Vegas kind of has the better defense, though. And I don't know, man. I think I kind of prefer Hart over Dostal in net, but I don't know, man. This is a hard game to figure out for me. I think if the series zigzags, then Vegas would be the way to look. But I don't like that they're not that good on the road, so I worry about that. It's a stay away from me. Vegas does have an experience edge, though, so I think they should come out on top in the series, but Maybe they don't. I don't know, man. We'll see. But I do have Vegas winning that in my bracket. I have them beating Edmonton in my bracket. All right, and then we have NBA. I'm going to give out an NBA play as well. The first game up, both games on Amazon Prime. First game up is Knicks at Philly. The Knicks have a 2-0 series lead. And, I like teams that are down 2-0 coming back home. I do like that spot. Usually when a team is coming back home and they're down 2-0, the zigzag is in effect, the zig-zag. And you usually want to look for that home team to even the series because the team that's up 2-0 feels pretty good. They get a little bit complacent. The team down 2-0 is really, really facing a lot of urgency, and they can't give up a game at home. You know what I mean? So those would have me looking towards Philadelphia here, but there are a lot of question marks here. And one thing that I don't like is that, I like it because we won on game 2. We had a winner with Philadelphia plus the points, even though we got the worst number on it because, of course, Embiid wound up not playing in the game. But that's what I don't like about this game now, is that if Philadelphia played really well without Embiid, the Knicks might have gotten scared by that game. You know what I mean? Philadelphia almost won that game. They're winning the majority of that game. So I think that might scare the Knicks into a better game here. So that is one thing that I worry about here. So I'm not going to give out a play on this game. But if you look at the game, the major outlier here was really the three-point shooting. Philadelphia hit 6 more three-pointers than the Knicks. The Knicks were only 27% from 3. And Anunoby is one of their better three-point shooters, and he might not play tonight, so you do have to worry about that. So if you think the Knicks are going to have positive regression from three-point range, which I do, you have to worry about Anunoby. You know what I mean? He might not play here because he got injured close to the end of that game, and if the Knicks are going to hit threes, they kind of need him to be part of that. So that is worrisome. Philadelphia actually out-rebounded the Knicks without Embiid. So that is not a good sign for the Knicks. That they got out-rebounded by an Embiid-less Sixers team. That's not good. And that the Sixers actually, led more than half the game, like I said. So there are a lot of conflicting factors here, man. But Joel Embiid is questionable, and the line here has Philly as a favorite. So that leads me to believe that Embiid is playing in this game, but he is a game-time decision. So there's a lot of things to figure out here. And Anunoby is also a game-time decision. So is Josh Hart, but I think he is going to play. And then Mitchell Robinson, the Knicks might be better not even playing Robinson. Robinson, he's not good, dude. And the Sixers in game 1 were hack-a-shacking him. They were, I don't know, what's the term for it with Mitch Robinson? They were, I don't know, bitch-a-Mitch? I don't know what they were doing. Whatever they were doing, they were hacking Mitch Robinson to send him to the line intentionally because he is a horrific free throw shooter. He's one of the worst free throw shooters in the league. The Knicks might be better not even playing him or really limiting his minutes. I don't know, man. But the big pieces here that you need to figure out are Anunoby and Embiid playing. And I think Anunoby won't affect the line that much. So I think the reason why Philly is favored as much as they are here, 1.5, means Embiid is playing. Because the Knicks were a 10.5-point home favorite with Embiid not playing. And if Embiid wasn't playing here, the line would probably be the Knicks being a favorite here. The fact that Philly is a favorite leads me to believe Embiid is going to play. Unless at some point they announce he's not going to. I think he will. But that's the issue I have with Philadelphia because I like that Philadelphia is down 2-0. They're going to have a sense of urgency here. I like the fact that they beat the Knicks in the rebound battle without Embiid. That's a good sign for Philadelphia. But I think the Knicks might shoot better from 3. The Knicks might be scared into focus after almost losing the previous game. And if Philly won without Embiid, or almost won, without Embiid, they might be feeling pretty good about Embiid coming back, and the line might move too much towards Philadelphia. The reverse injured player theory, a lot of times there's an overreaction a little bit to the line. And, it's at the point where maybe you could argue the Knicks should be about a 1-point favorite here instead of Philly being a 1-point favorite. But it's a pick-the-winner price, so regardless of which team is a 1-point favorite, it doesn't really matter that much. But the money seems like it's kind of indicating towards the Knicks. 65% of tickets on Philly, 63% of the cash on them. I don't buy that Philly is a public side, though. After they looked so bad in game 1 and then lost game 2 as well, I don't think Philadelphia is a public side here. Philly is a 1.5-point favorite. all things being considered, I think I'll slightly lean to Philadelphia, but I don't like it. And it looks like some of the money is hitting the over here. I'm not sure I like that either. I think I might lean under because, the last game did not go over this number of 214.5, 215. But with Embiid coming back, I think that's going to skew the line a little bit higher than it would be otherwise if he is coming back. Although you need Anunoby. If you're going to go under, you're probably better with Anunoby being out, though. But I think if Embiid is in and Anunoby is out, an under might make sense because you're going to get Embiid's defense in play there as well. So that's what I think. It's a 4-hour drive. I'm not playing the fucking Sixers song. Fuck the Sixers. I fucking hate that team. But I also hate the Knicks, and I hate both fan bases. They're all a bunch of assholes, dude. Like, I hope that this series I don't know. I hope the series gets disqualified from existence. Fuck both these teams. Fuck both fan bases. That's what I have to say about that fucking series. And then the other series is where I'm going to give out a play. Let's do it. This is the last game that we're going to talk about, and we do have a play on it. Minnesota +5, or I think it's mostly 4.5 out there, which is probably fine as well. We're going to take the T-Wolves plus the points here, man. This is a zigzag spot, dude. This has been a zigzag series all the way so far. Anthony Edwards made the surprise comeback in Minnesota. Won game one as a big underdog. And then what happened? San Antonio back, at home again. San Antonio, after losing as a big favorite, they came back and they won in a massive blowout in game two. The public is not going to take Minnesota here after this. San Antonio blew the doors off of them, 133-95, won by almost 40 points. You know what I think about that. After something like that happens, that was a major outlier. I'm going to come back and fade that. You know what I mean? That is what the zigzag does. You fade the team that was on the wrong side of the major outlier. And we're getting them at home now as an underdog too, which I like. And Minnesota's the more experienced team, man. San Antonio's not used to being in a spot like this, and now they have to play a road playoff game against a team that's been in the conference finals 2 years in a row. Yeah, doesn't look good to me, and I think there's going to be a lot of regression here as well. San Antonio shot 50% from the field in the last game. They had almost the same amount of field goal attempts, and they shot 41% from three, so they were +7 from three-point range. I think those numbers are going to regress, man. And both teams went to the line a similar amount of times, and Minnesota shot an outrageous 52% from the line. They're going to shoot better than that. There's no way an NBA team is not going to shoot 50% from the line in any game. Even if they're not the greatest free throw shooting team, it's just not going to happen. So I think there are some major regression points here. San Antonio should shoot way worse in this game, especially because Minnesota is a good defense. Both these teams are good defensively. Minnesota should shoot better from the line. And yes, the one concern is San Antonio did dominate the rebound battle. Yes, I get that. San Antonio has Wemby, whatever. But we're getting points with Minnesota. It could be a defensive matchup here, man. I think you're going to see a lower scoring game in this game than you saw in this game as well. Mostly because San Antonio just shot way too well. That's going to be the main regression point, is that San Antonio should shoot worse. Although, yes, Minnesota might hit more free throws. But I think the regression is going to come more on the offensive end. You have two good defenses here. I like the under in this game as well, but Minnesota would be my play. And I think the under is correlated. Minnesota's not going to be able to win if the game is higher scoring, They cannot let San Antonio outscore them in this game. The money's coming in towards the over, though. 83% of tickets on the under, 50% of the cash on the over. I don't agree with that. The total's a little bit higher at 216.5, but Minnesota needs to slow the game down, and they might be able to do that at home. So, yeah, I think the under is a consideration, but we're playing the side. I think more of the regression points line up this way, and I don't do totals very much, although we're 1-0, I think, in the totals in the NBA playoffs so far, or maybe 1-1, I forget. 54% of tickets, 60% of the cash on Minnesota. And yes, I know we're still a game below 500, I think, in the NBA playoffs, but we're going to keep grinding it, and we're going to do what's worked throughout history. Let's do it. Minnesota plus the points is going to be the play. Yeah, again, I think we get a lot of regression points. And also, don't neglect the home advantage here. San Antonio's really good at home, and Minnesota is not a very good road team, but they're pretty good at home. 26-15 at home. San Antonio 29-12 on the road. Obviously, that's still good, but Minnesota could definitely hang as a home underdog here with more experience and in a zigzag spot. Yeah, we're doing it. Minnesota plus the points, and that's going to do it for me for today. All the plays one more time. We have 3 Major League Baseball totals. First 5 under in Anaheim, Toronto. First 5 under in Minnesota, Cleveland. Try to get it under 4, although you have to pay a little bit more for it in those games. Full game under in Seattle and White Sox, under the 8. Montreal Canadiens on the money line. And Minnesota T-Wolves plus 5. 5 plays today. Let's do it. Let's get to 60 wins on this run before we get to 40 losses. I think it's highly unlikely that's not going to happen because we only need one more win to make that happen. So let's make it happen tonight. Let's have a win. I'll be happy if we go 3-2. I mean, that's the goal. 3-2 is a winning night. That's your aim. Win. Just win, baby. The Al Davis of betting. Let's go. That's going to do it. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Like, subscribe to the channel here. Tell everybody about it. We're losing subs again. Not a fan of it. I don't like losing subs, man, including sub sandwiches because I like those too. I'm hungry. I got to eat lunch too. What else did I have to say? I don't even know. Oh, yeah, we're on audio. Listen on Apple, Spotify, Spreaker. That all helps as well. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube. You can check that out as well. What else do I have? Patreon.com/LearnToToad. I don't want to forget the Patreon, even though, unfortunately, I neglect it quite a bit, but you can subscribe to me there. You can help me out there. We have the Loser Cast every Tuesday and the G-Spot Giants podcast, where I think Ben and I are going to do an episode this weekend at some point to recap the draft and preview the season a little bit more. So be on the lookout for that. That's going to do it. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Charles, Zach, Sparrow, Josh, Hindian, Pinsy. Who else was in here? Tyson, Dirty Sock. Did I say Garrett? All you guys in the chat, all the regulars, thanks for hanging out. I don't know, people who don't like winning, I guess. This is a prolonged hot streak, though. We had one really bad day in there at 0-3, but I think during this streak that I had up on the screen, well, I'll put it back up for 1 second. I think during this streak, we've only had that 0-3, I think was the only day where we were worse than being one loss below the break-even threshold. You don't break even in betting if you go 1-1. You lose slightly, but you know what I mean? I think that all the losing days were 1-2, 2-3, that type of thing. I think that 0-3 day was the only day where we had more than one more loss than win, if that makes sense. I think. I'm not entirely sure about that, but it goes back 34 days now. But we've been hot. We've had a good year so far. A little bit of a low in March. I don't know why that's the case. A low in March, and then I usually do really well in May, and baseball has really been what's been awesome for us so far. Baseball has been excellent. And last year, baseball was tough. It was rough, guys. Baseball wasn't that good last year. NBA playoffs were really good last year, and NHL playoffs were pretty good as well. But this year, it's been baseball that's been doing all this damage. Baseball's been awesome, so hopefully that continues, or hopefully we turn it around with the NBA. NHL playoffs have been really selective, but they've been pretty good for us as well. Let's keep it up. That's going to do it. I appreciate everybody. Peace.
But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now.